After scouring the internet, I've got another roundup of some of the most unique, unusual, and one-of-a-kind everyday carry gear that you can buy. Some really cool stuff to talk about. Let's get into it. First up is the WUBEN E8 Flashlight. This is a fully customizable modular flashlight for sale on Kickstarter right now. It might just be my favorite new light from WUBEN in quite some time. With the pre-order, it comes in right around $50 for the aluminum version that I have here. They also have a titanium version available as well. Measures 1 inch in diameter and is about 3.56 inches long for the main body and weighs 80 grams with the battery. You have 1300 lumens of max output from the two LEDs here. You also have an additional third LED that covers 365 nanometer UV light. I have an early prototype model here, but the official release will also have 3 additional side LED lights. Getting in some of the fun stuff though, like I said, it's fully customizable and modular. These side plates here are made out of polycarbonate. They have a few different color options available as well as a clear glow-in-the-dark one. Mine use screws, but the official release will apparently use quick release magnets. They also mentioned something about 3D printing. I don't know if they're able to provide the file, but that would be really fun to be able to print your own panels. You can also swap out the pocket clip. I believe they'll have a few additional options available on the Kickstarter, but they made it to be universal. So if you have a pocket clip you really like, you might be able to attach it onto this already. And potentially the biggest and most obvious change here is the tail switch. If you notice, I have this extra dangly bit here. This is a fidget top option that they have available. It is super satisfying, but it does throw off the ergonomics a little bit, so I probably won't keep it on mine long term, but you have a lot of other options for the tail switch. There are also 6 tritium slots here, so you can be able to put in some tritium vials if you want to add some extra character to it. 1300 lumens is super respectable at this size. It's IP68 dust and water resistant. It has a 37-hour runtime on the low setting, and on the inside you'll find a 14500 USB-C rechargeable battery. Really happy with what they're doing here for the new release. You know, all the extra bells and whistles are nice, but at its core, again, it's a really solid flashlight. I think sometimes they're worried about features and all of these extra doodads more so than the light itself. They've got both covered really well here at a super respectable price point. Next up, we have the SHOKZ OpenRun Pro 2 Bone Conduction headphones. I've had my eye on these for a while. I'm a huge fan of open-ear headphones in general. I've been testing out so many different models over the years, and they've come so far with the options and the sound quality that you get for the pricing. The OpenRun Pro 2 are bone conduction headphones, but they're also open ear headphones. They have a dual driver design, so it's essentially both styles of headphone built into one. The bone conduction covers the mids and the highs, and the open air speaker covers some extra bass response. Sound quality here was about what I expected, which was mostly good. I think with open ear headphones and bone conduction headphones, it's important to go through with realistic expectations. You know, these sound super clear, but just don't really have a lot of bass response. They're a lot better than a lot of others that I've tried, but you're definitely going to be kidding yourself if you're getting something super bassy from any open ear or bone conduction headphones. So that being said, I think they sound really good for what they are. You just got to make sure that you're aware. Now, I usually use these a lot when I'm hiking and backpacking, and I'm usually listening to audiobooks and podcasts and things like that. So I think for that type of application, these are perfect. I also am very excited to start using these for cycling. I'm going to be checking out some e-bikes pretty soon here that I am very much looking forward to, and these should be perfect for that as well. They have a 12-hour battery life and the option for a 2.5-hour charge with 5 minutes of charging. They're IP55 dust and water resistant, so they're going to be completely fine with any sweat or light rain. And I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about this form factor compared to my usual open ear headphone style, but the wraparound is extremely comfortable. They only weigh about an ounce. I think it's 30 grams. You have this really nice soft touch silicone for the wraparound part for your neck. Overall, I'm very impressed with it and definitely find them extremely comfortable. You have some really great buttons as well, physical tactile buttons, which I think is important if you're using these for like sports or running or backpacking or anything. The only real downside here that I can see is the price point. They come in at $180. I got mine on sale for $130, but you're definitely going to pay a premium for the overall package here. I think what they're doing is great, but I think the competition has gotten a lot more fierce in the last year or two with a lot of open ear headphone options around the $50 price point doing doing a really great job. All that being said, I think if you can tolerate the premium price point here, you're going to be really happy with them. Next up, we have the Ombraz Armless sunglasses. You might remember me talking about these a year or two ago. They are a huge favorite of mine for all things outdoor stuff. They just recently came out with this new model here that's kind of a pit viper style. Wanted to talk about it because they are awesome. The armless style here is absolutely amazing in the right applications. You don't have to worry about losing your sunglasses or having them fall off. They're also extremely comfortable, even compared to the most comfortable regular glasses I own. They just stay on really nice and secure without having to think about it. They knocked it out of the park with the new model here. This pit viper style is super trendy right now, but it's also much more functional for a lot of like outdoor sports, which is their main market for something like this too. They only weigh 1 ounce even with the cord, so really nice and lightweight. They're made in Italy. The frame is a TR90 frame, so super nice and durable. The lenses are no joke either. They're non-polarized Zeiss lenses. They have full 100% protection for UVA and UVB. They have an oleophobic coating, so you don't have to worry about a ton of smudges blocking your vision if you're sweating and, hiking. The cord's actually made out of 100% recycled fishing net, and they're hand woven in Japan. They have a lifetime warranty and a real big, repair over replace type of mentality. They're a certified B Corp, 1% for the planet. Company's really great. The quality here is amazing. Yeah, if you do any sort of outdoor stuff, they are just incredible, and it's really tough to describe. You just kind of have to use them. Got a few different items here to talk about from Aulumu. They were also kind enough to sponsor this week's video, so a huge thanks to them. They have a really big focus on everyday carry and tech accessories and cases with a bit of a spin, having a sci-fi, cyberpunk, urban tech sort of aesthetic. Probably my favorite item out of the handful I've been testing is the G05 phone kickstand. You all know I'm a huge fan of kickstands. They come in handy for travel, everyday carry, constantly. This is unlike anything I have ever seen. It's a full metal build with zinc alloy. You have a full 360-degree rotation for the stand and 85 degrees of angle adjustment. Craziest part though, you have a hidden ceramic box cutter blade built in. It auto retracts as well, so you don't need to worry about it popping out in some circumstance where you don't want it to. Super clever. I've never seen anything like it. Also really cool is this A16 frosted glass iPhone case. You all know I'm not a big phone case guy day to day, but there's a lot of really cool stuff going on here. First and foremost, the material that they're using, it's a sort of soft touch. It's super silky and smooth, but grippy at the same time. You have 5 feet of drop protection. You have a crazy strong MagSafe magnet here. Definitely the strongest out of any case or the stock phone that I've tested. Full camera control button functionality, as well as metal buttons for everything else. They feel super clicky and satisfying. And the design is super unique. They even have little glow in the dark accents here that light up very subtly. I've also been testing the A02 Apple Watch Sport Band. It is a super soft and flexible FKM rubber. You have this really unique asymmetrical design to be able to lock it in place. That also adds a little bit of extra airflow, which I found really nice. And this is the A09 AirPods Pro case. It's a combination of super soft TPU and zinc alloy. You have a locking mechanism to ensure your AirPods stay in place, especially if you drop them. We've all spilled them out onto a sidewalk or something before. You have full cutouts for the charging port, the speaker holes, even the indicator light button. But something I've never seen before, you have a pairing light button on the back here that is incorporated. Overall, I'm just really impressed with the quality here. Sometimes when you see these crazy design options, the quality doesn't really match the flash of the designs. It is both form and function here. Really impressed with the quality. The designs are super cool. Be sure to check these out. I'll have links to everything down in the description below. Huge thanks again to Aulumu for sponsoring this week's video. Next up is actually on my finger. This is the Project Ratchet V2 Ratchet Ring. I've had this for a few weeks now and have to say this is my favorite fidget toy of all time. I'm not a big fidget toy or like EDC fidgety type of person generally. There are a few things that stand out here and there, but this is my favorite and I'll definitely explain why. It looks generally like a regular ring on the surface, but inside you have a built-in ratcheting mechanism. Both the tactile and sound feedback are super satisfying. I tend to fidget a lot with my hands and I have a habit of picking at my fingernails. I put this on my first finger just for easy access with my thumb, and I've been using it way more than I ever anticipated I would. They're made of 316L stainless steel, they're 7mm wide, and they're 2.8mm thick. They have a few options in regular stainless steel as well as a black coated stainless steel, and they have a few different options for etchings as well, which I found to be super satisfying. The etchings are a little less prominent in person compared to the photos, but I find that they add a really nice texture for the ratcheting. So that alone, I'd probably recommend getting one of the etched ones over plain. Definitely worth a second look if you want something super stealthy and discreet to use, in public spaces. That's always been my thing, with fidget toys in general. I might use them when I'm here, but I'm not going to be bringing them out, if I'm with friends and family, messing with them while I'm talking to people. But this is just a lot more discreet and you can kind of mess with it without anyone really realizing. Next up, we have the Topdon TC002 thermal camera. This is a thermal camera that is meant to be attached to your phone. I find it much smaller and convenient compared to a big dedicated thermal camera, and I'm not someone that needs it really heavily for professional use. So something like this seemed perfect. I've had my eye on these for a couple of years and finally took some time to do some research and pick one up and test it for myself. It plugs into the bottom of your phone via USB-C. It has its own built-in camera module, so it's not doing anything with your phone camera itself. The image quality is okay, but actually quite a bit better than most of the competition from my research. It's a 512 by 384 resolution with 25 frames per second. It can pick up temps anywhere from 4 degrees Fahrenheit to 1000 degrees Fahrenheit. I personally wanted to get this mostly for work stuff here, to be able to check the temps of different electronics and things like that, but there are actually quite a few uses for a lot of different people, even though it is a bit niche. First and foremost, if you're a homeowner, being able to check insulation and things like that around your home can be incredibly useful to save some money and see if you have any weak spots in particular walls. I also understand a lot of hunters will use thermal cameras and stuff. They want to go full predator mode. Everything runs through their app, which I would describe as serviceable. It definitely works and I haven't had any bad crashes or problems with it, but it's just generally a little bit unpleasant to use, as you'd kind of expect for a lot of these small random apps. On the image, it'll show and update the pinpoints for the highest and lowest temperatures as you move the camera around. I found both the photo and the video to be really great. I had a lot of fun getting videos of my cat. You can see how insulated his fur is when I pet him. I also felt so bad seeing my cat's cold little nose pop up when I was filming him with this, but really cool. I think having it through the phone, it makes it a lot easier to pull the footage off. Something that would be really good for me, but might be more of a nuisance if you're using it in a professional setting. But, your mileage may vary. I got it mostly for fun, but also for, YouTube reviews and stuff like that. But if you want to check your home insulation, I think that is the main proponent for something like this. So let me know if you have one, what you're using it for. I'd love to get that discussion going. Got another flashlight up next. This is the Vastlite Minima Bow. I believe this is the smallest LEP flashlight on the market right now. This was not a category I was very familiar with before doing all of my research here. LEP stands for laser excited phosphor. It's a very focused beam. It's essentially a little tiny pocket spotlight. It's 0.75 inches in diameter and only 2.8 inches long. It weighs 36 grams and it has a very tiny 850 milliamp hour 16340 battery. It is USB-C rechargeable and swappable, which is great. You have a max output of 280 lumens, which doesn't sound like much, but in this focused beam, it is extremely bright. You have a maximum throw distance of 750 meters. It is wild. Operation is very simple. It reminds me of the old-timey, 90s flashlights. You just twist it to turn it on, and you can twist and rotate to change the different modes. Super simple and intuitive. I looked up some research to see what people are actually using these for, because to me, it was just kind of a fun thing to talk about here and kind of a pocket lightsaber. They can be used essentially like a safer laser pointer if you want to point stuff out in a group setting. I thought that was really clever. I also saw a handful of truck drivers really like to use these to check addresses in different spots without blowing up the whole area with a big floodlight. So yeah, do you have any uses for LEP flashlights? Let me know down in the comments, but this thing is tiny and super powerful. Definitely recommend if you have a use for it. Got a couple of handkerchiefs up next from Awesome Hank. These are the dual-sided handkerchiefs. You have canvas on one side and a microfiber on the other. They're made in the USA by a husband and wife team. I thought that was great. Now, I know these aren't super unique. There are quite a few of these EDC Hank brands out there, but I just really liked their designs. They had quite a few options out there, and all of the stitching and everything is pretty impeccable. So I wanted to give them a shout out here. The standard size option here is 5 inches by 6 inches. They also have a few options in the XL size that's 7.5 inches by 7.25 inches. You have a little D-ring on all the hanks if you want to attach them to everything. I thought that was a nice implementation. You know, for me personally, I'm not generally a big fan of these smaller dual-sided handkerchiefs. I'm someone that uses handkerchiefs to actually blow my nose. It seems like I am in the crazy minority though whenever I talk about this. I really like the Vala Alta Irish linen handkerchiefs. They're nice and big, kind of classic standard handkerchiefs. But these are really nice for what they are. You know, they're essentially for me like a really nice fancy microfiber. And that's usually what I use them for, cleaning off my gear or my glasses or anything when I'm out and about on the go. But you're definitely not going to get through any allergies or stuffy nose looking at options like this. That being said though, the quality is really great. They're made in America. I love the small team brands, and I really loved some of their design options as well. So check them out if you're needing some hanks. Definitely worth a second look. Next up, we have the Mezmopen. This is a breakable fidget pen. The Kickstarter just ended for this a few days ago, but I checked before recording and it looks like you can do like late pledges. So it looks like you can still order it before it goes fully live. It's a very simple and straightforward idea. This is a very basic pen that takes D1 inserts for ink refills, but you can break it in half and fidget around with it. I was pretty skeptical with this, but I have to say the fidgeting mechanism here is very fun and satisfying. The magnet that they have built into the center is super strong. I have the aluminum version here, but they have a few other models and options available: stainless steel, copper, brass, titanium. Also in the package came a little magnet tip for the base of this if you want to use it just as a half-size little mini pen. They have an optional little carry sleeve to be able to carry it folded in half, as well as a little desk stand for it. You know, I'm kind of torn on this because the pen itself just doesn't really feel that premium when you're using it. I also am a little annoyed by the fact that the pen is extended out if you have it in full length mode. I wish there was some way to be able to retract it, even if you have it in full size unbroken pen mode. That being said though, the implementation of what they're doing here is pretty perfect. So if a pen that you can split in half and mess around with and break sounds fun, they've done a perfect job at it. Price is pretty reasonable though. I think it was 40 or 50 bucks. Check it out. I'm not sure how much longer they're going to be doing late pledges, but as of today, they still are. Next up, we have the intermediate lockpicking set from JimyLongs. I've been super interested in lockpicking for a number of years. A couple of years back, you might remember, I got a little clear lock starter set sort of thing so I can start to learn the skill of lockpicking. It's just super fascinating to me. I've been doing a bunch of research to see kind of where to start and where to begin. It is a little overwhelming going in completely cold. Checking in some things and relying heavily on the lockpicking subreddit. Seems like everyone really loves these lockpicks from JimyLongs. They're super inexpensive, but apparently good enough quality for the people that know a lot more than me. I unfortunately have not had the time to practice my lockpicking skills the way I wanted to before recording this video, but I thought I'd still throw it in here. For my limited knowledge, the quality here feels great. The picks are stainless steel. You have these really great injection molded handles with some really good grip texture. Prices were super cheap. They had a beginner set for I think $20 or the intermediate set with a few extra options for $30. I just picked that up because the few dollars difference, might as well get one that'll last me a little bit longer was kind of my mindset around it. It seems like a single guy making these out of Utah, so really cool to see the small companies be championed so much by the people that know so much about lockpicking. Be sure you're only using these on your own locks and not breaking any laws. I think it's just a fascinating thing and a very useful skill to have just for your own arsenal of skills and tools. You know, I've been locked out of my home, my car, you know, padlocks. If I had this and actually knew how to use them, I could have prevented a lot of pain and annoyance. So check these out if you're fascinated like me. They seem like a real crowd favorite among the pros and the lockpicking enthusiasts. They're not very expensive either, which I thought was great. But on that note, that is the end of the video. I thought we had a lot of really fun stuff today. You know, sometimes these get so niche, they end up not being very useful for most of us, you know, myself included sometimes, admittedly, but this time I really liked everything that we were talking about today. So let me know down in the comments what you're using, what you want to see in the future. Thank you all so much for watching though, and I'll talk to you in the next one.